welcome to TSP Weekly. This is your tech startup podcast for Thursday, June 25th, 2015. Today we are once again recording at the wonderful Communitech Hub. We were just able to score a room after TD Bank grabbed most of the other meeting rooms, but I guess they are kind of an important business, and
it was Destiny.
Yeah, we're in the Destiny room once again, which is actually much nicer than any of the other ones we usually record in. So
it really is. Angry Bird, Space Invaders.
Yeah, nice retro kind of geek artwork here.
Yep.
My name is Darren Conley. I'm a local tech entrepreneur here in Kitchener-Waterloo. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Stephen Campbell. How are you today, Stephen?
I'm freshly haircutted, thank you.
Yeah, you've kind of kept some on the top and taken it right off the sides.
Yeah,
huh?
I call it the beaker.
Right. I was thinking Vanilla Ice, beaker. I think there are a few things you could kind of do with that. Yeah. Sure.
Or the Macklemore.
How's it been working for you?
My ears have been wonderful.
Your ears have been
nice
wonderful.
to meet them again. And
okay.
Yeah,
so nothing touching the ears now.
Exactly.
Have you been getting attention out on the streets?
Took it all the way down to the hardwood.
Yeah.
And
kind
of scary.
Has it given you some extra street cred?
I'm certainly getting some laughs. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent. We're gonna have to put up some photos or something so people can see what we're talking about here.
Yeah. We'll definitely put up a picture of our guest today, at least.
Yes, at the very least we should. And our guest today is Mr. Matt Gardner. I love it when we have guests with easy names to pronounce. He is coming to us from Videostream. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good. I'm actually now I'm stuck on the beaker thing. I'm just picturing me.
Remember that?
Oh yeah,
it's good stuff.
That's all I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
This is you got it. Halloween.
I can't wait.
Bring it in.
Some red
all you have
hair.
to do is wear a lab coat, pretty much.
That's true.
He had a big nose too.
Yeah.
The big nose.
Yeah, he was a Muppet. He had a big nose. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll get you dressed up as the Swedish chef.
Sure. I'll have to brush up on my Swedish chef fees, whatever language he speaks.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, now that we've covered the Muppet segment of the podcast, let's find out a little bit about Videostream, Matt. And I've briefly looked at your website, and I've chatted with you guys a little bit, so I feel like I have a rough idea of what it's all about, but maybe you can give us kind of the 1 minute spiel of what Videostream is all about.
Sure. We're kind of an easy one to understand. In one click, we take any video that's on your computer and we wirelessly stream it to your television in full HD, and we don't make you buy any hardware. We're basically playing off the fact that TVs are internet connected now, so whatever device you have in your house, if it's an internet connected TV, a Roku, a Chromecast, what we're working towards is being able to find it on your network or your friend's network or your business network, wherever you take your laptop, and you can just in one click get video to whatever TV's in the room.
So now you say no hardware required, but there is
not from us,
right? But there is some sort of hardware requirement as far as you need to have a modern TV, let's say.
Exactly. Well, there's a million. There's I can say 4 major dongles basically now that you can plug into the TV to make them smart. The older TVs, and the pickup on that has been just insane. Everyone wants their Netflix or YouTube or whatever on their television, so people are getting these dongles if they don't already have the smart TV.
What's the kind of price range of the dongles? Are they $50 or all the way up to $200?
Cheapest in the States, the Chromecast goes down to $28 on sale.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And that's the first one we went with. Right now we're on Chromecast and Android TV.
Yeah.
We launched just over a year ago, and right now we're at about 1.3 million users.
Really?
Yeah.
Of just your stuff, of just Videostream.
Just videos, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands a week. Actually boot and use the app to watch videos. We're doing.
Wow.
I don't have the stat offhand, but it's years of video watched a month, basically, or even a week on the platform. Yeah,
that's a really good
amazing.
wow. That's really good aghast wow. Yeah. With the that's huge onboarding of people, right? How did you get that big that quick?
We launched the product. We built it because we wanted it. We kind of launched it by accident. We were still all living in a house together at this time, and we got pissed at our TV one day because we said we had Chromecasts.
Yeah.
And we were plugging in HDMI to watch movies on the TV, and we were like, "This is dumb. This TV is supposed to be smart."
Yeah.
And I can get Netflix, but I can't watch my movie. I'm 5 feet from the TV, and I can't wirelessly send. So we didn't watch movies that night, and we coded this thing the super MVP.
Right.
We put it in the Chrome store just to share it to ourselves and give it to some friends who wanted the same thing, and somebody threw it up on Hacker News, and we 10,000 people when we were on Monday.
Wow.
2 days later, and we were oh my god, we didn't have analytics in this thing. We freaked out. This wasn't our main product at the time or anything. It was a weekend deal, and it worked terribly.
Right.
There was not enough stuff built. So
were you able to watch movies after you built it though? I mean, did it work that night for you? Or
it was a very slim very specific file types and codecs would work on the thing. Basically, it just fed it directly to the Chromecast. So you had to make sure it was in the right format. There was not instructions on that this was a thing. Like if you fed it an AVI file, it would just be all screechy and terrible. The TV would yell at you basically. So from there we just said, okay, let's throw it other stuff. This is the best product we've made so far, and we've built it up over the last year and a couple months.
Wow. Now,
that's incredible.
Do you need to have a Chromecast or Android TV
right now to use it? Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Okay. Because I do have a smart TV, but my TV has it has all that kind of stuff built into it. It has apps, right? So I have my Netflix app and I have my YouTube app and these
exactly, and that's kind of where the list stops for Canada. You're like, I got Netflix, I got YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a new Show Me or something.
Show Me and Crave.
Crave. I see them advertised. I've never tried any of this stuff.
You have to have a cable subscription to get either of those,
right? Which kind of defeats the purpose for me. Yeah.
I have more of an athletic TV than a smart TV. He's a really nice personality.
Right.
And no cable. So
yeah. Well, these days between Netflix and YouTube, I feel like I have most of the stuff covered. But I do actually have a fair amount of media. I digitized all my DVDs onto my hard drive.
Yeah,
Breakfast Club over and over and over.
That's right, and I would love to be able to have an easy way to get that stuff onto my TV.
And that's really what we do. A lot of people actually use it. They'll put a DVD in their drive and stream that wirelessly from their computer to the TV just because they the only DVD player they have left is in their computer. They got rid of the one attached to their TV.
Right.
They're watching through computer to HDMI to TV is a lot more painful than computer to TV without the wire.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So can you just maybe walk us through what it would be like? Say I was, Joe, Chromecast user, and I hear about you guys, and I'm like, I want to try this thing out. I want to see if I can make it work. What do I do now?
Oh, it's so we have. What I'll say is we have Design for Grandma written on our whiteboard.
Excellent.
And that's something we really take to heart. Everything has to be super simple, especially for a first time user.
Yep.
So literally, we're in
Grandma's much more tech savvy in my house than Grandpa.
Okay, there you go.
So you might want to tweak that one. Just
Design
saying.
for
Just
Grandpa.
throwing that out there.
That's all good. Yeah.
I'm picturing my little Asian grandma is when I'm using because she just no computer, no internet. But
that sounds like a great name for a sitcom. My Little Asian Grandmother. Do you say Asian or ancient?
Asian.
Oh, okay.
Asian. I'm half Asian.
Fair enough.
Everyone can picture me at home half Asian.
Sure. I'm Caucasian. You're half Asian.
Yep.
Steven,
I'm going to be quiet on that one. Unusual, I know.
I was just putting the bait out there for you. But anyway, okay, sorry. As we were saying, yes.
Right. So you go to we're actually built into the Chrome App Store. So you go to our website, you hit Get the App. It takes you to the App Store. You download the app.
And I'm downloading this onto my PC?
Onto your PC, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's built into Chrome, so it's sort of like they've built this ecosystem up like Android or iOS. They have an app store.
Yep.
So it installs into your browser. It will open up immediately in, 30 seconds, whatever it takes to download it.
Sure.
And there's just a single blue button on the screen, and it says Select a Video.
Oh.
And you push that button.
This is through my browser.
Yeah, this is in your browser. It looks like a website. It's just a single blue button. It sits on top of a nice graphic of an orange couch.
Okay.
And it says Select a Video. You push it, and your normal file browse dialog pops up because that's what you're used to, and you pick the video.
Right.
And then a list will drop down, and it'll have a list of your TVs.
Okay.
And you pick the TV.
And do I have to set up my TV with this list?
No, not if you already have a Chromecast, you're fine. That's it.
It just knows through the Chromecast.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
we'll find your TV. You pick the TV, and then the video starts to play.
So from what you're describing to me, I could take my Chromecast dongle and just stick it into anything that will actually display, or work with Chromecast, and next thing you know, I'm sending stuff to it, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Do you control the volume from the computer then, or from the television, or both?
You can use both. We don't overwrite the ability of the TV to control volume, but you can control it from the app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And is part of the app controls for pause and rewind?
Exactly. So after you've picked the video, the screen, the select a video button goes away and turns into play, pause, seek, 30-second skip. You can enable your subtitles because we're very, very global.
Okay.
Subtitle support was a big challenge for us, learning about what people want in subtitles, not being subtitle users ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
We had to do a big dive.
And that's something where if I have the subtitle file already saved,
yeah, exactly,
it'll make use of that. Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Or if it's baked into the video as well, you can turn it on and off, change the styles, things like that.
Gotcha.
Do you guys have to do anything with localization and language?
So we have it localized slightly. We really need to. We have it all coded so it can be localized. So every bit of text in the app is in a nice document. You can change the languages in, but we actually have to get it translated.
Right.
I guess we mostly rely on iconography. We've translated the select a video button, but once that's done, it's mostly image based. Play, pause, skip 30 seconds,
right?
Things like that. We found out that closed captioning is not a symbol they use outside of North America, so we had to switch our icon for subtitles in other places. But
but you've used the international sign for push this button, which is a button on an orange.
Exactly. If you know what it's for, if you know it's for streaming videos. It's pretty self-explanatory when you open the thing that you're supposed to push the big blue button. And
everybody wants to push the button.
Yeah.
Sure.
How can you not push the button?
I'm guessing on the technical side, like you guys had to do a lot of work to types and codecs with the software.
I like to say, some people ask if we do full stack development in-house, and I say we're super full stack because we're a lot in JavaScript and CSS, HTML because we're a web app.
Right.
But at the same time, we also code in C++ and assembly because we have to optimize video compression.
Wow.
Because we're transcoding videos that are in the wrong format for your specific device in real time.
Wow.
But also within a web browser. So there's further constraints on what we can do. And we stayed in the web browser and not as a standalone app because the App Store is such a good way to get noticed and users and people are familiar with that that experience. I think if we had turned it into a standalone app, it would make our jobs a lot easier. It would make things harder on our user base, which is not anything we ever do.
Even as a standalone app, you have to make it work with all the different operating systems that are using it. This way, as long as it works in the browser, which browsers work on anything OS, right?
Exactly. We can build it once for Chrome, and it'll deploy to Linux and Mac as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about transcoding and stuff, so there are some file types where essentially I could be loading up a DVX file or something, and it's transferring it into an AVI before it gets sent to my TV, or I don't know if that's a good example. Or
pretty much. If you don't give me a very slim profile of MP4 MKV video, it's H.264 with a specific level with a specific profile. We're doing transcoding.
Wow.
And if the audio is not AAC, we're doing transcoding. And this is a lot of most files. Anything filmed on a cell phone, smartphone, not the right format.
Right.
So that's 100% of those videos would not play back natively on these devices.
Yeah, sometimes I see video on my phone, it's GP4 or some kind of odd file extension, which I haven't seen anywhere. Yeah, fair enough.
So we have support for about 450 types of video files. Plus we do music and photos as well, I guess. I'll throw that in there. But the main thing is video. What do you want on your TV? Unless you're throwing a party and you want music, it's usually video.
Right.
So that's really what our focus is on, and making that experience really great. But if you want to throw together a playlist of Taylor Swift and rock out and use your home theater, you can totally do that too.
You nailed it. He's looking directly at Darren when he said Taylor Swift.
I'm not too ashamed to admit we actually play a lot of Taylor Swift at our house. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old who are big fans.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
Blame it on the kids. I see.
She's got.
They're not even old enough to defend herself yet.
Now. What about if I'm running Chrome on my Android phone? Can I, in theory, play video that's stored on my
on your
on
phone?
My phone?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It's on the roadmap. It's just way harder because that transcoding is just a heck of a process.
Sure.
And what we don't want to deliver on the mobile phone is our original bad experience of saying sorry not supported over and over again. That's how you don't it has to work. Our competition is an HDMI cable. HDMI cables rarely fail. We'll give them a 99.9%. You have the cable works.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how reliable we have to be.
Yeah.
And just better. We do have Android and iOS apps though. They're remote controls.
Okay.
So what it lets you do is when I walk into my house now, I don't have to open Videostream on my computer per se. It runs in the background. I can open my phone, browse all of the videos that are on my computer, pick one and pick a TV from my phone, and it'll be playing by the time I kick off my shoes.
Wow.
So it's a snappy experience. It's really nice once you get that going. Just being able to say and we sort it by recents and stuff like that, and we try to predict what you're going to want to watch. We're starting to suggest things to you as well.
Yeah.
And we also keep track of where you are and everything you're watching, so you never lose your place.
Wow.
Which is nice.
Yeah, that's helpful.
This sounds like something that would be I could see it as just becoming a standard part of the Google Chrome experience or whatever. I mean,
is that some of your exit strategy is to sort of be gobbled up?
I think we don't. We're planning to not be gobbled. Well, I don't think you ever planned to be gobbled up.
Right.
I think you plan for how are we going to make this like a massive $billion business, and like that's kind of our game plan.
Yeah.
Over time is like, and what we're working on now. As our team grows, is some of that the long-term monetization strategy.
Yeah.
What do we do with like 1 million plus 10 million whatever people watching videos every day when
Sure.
you're their main you're the main source of video entertainment is you, like how do you make money off them?
Sure.
And the caveat is without ads because we hate them.
Excellent. And that's a good question. That's actually the next thing I wanted to ask you about is how are you going to make money off this stuff? So do you have any ideas or things in the works?
So right now we actually make money, a good amount of money. We have a premium version.
Okay.
It's about 1% of people pay us for our premium add-on. It's like $1.50 a month or $15 a year or $35 for lifetime, quote unquote.
Okay.
But when you say 1% over 1 million plus people, it turns into like an okay amount of money when it's only $1.50 a head a month. And like to a person, that's like less than a double, whatever.
Right.
But for us, it's like, okay, now there's like a lot of you. Let's multiply it out. That's not our long-term strategy for making a lot of money, but it's keeping us going right now.
I should just throw in a brief translation for our non-Canadian listeners.
Yes.
A double is a Tim Hortons coffee with 2 creams and 2 sugars. Or 2 milks and 2 sugars. I don't actually drink double, so
it's not when you see 2 moose by the side of the road. Or
no, it's true. No. Cool. And what does the premium version offer people above and beyond the standard?
There's really 3 things right now, and they've been the same since week 9. And I'm trying to work on adding some more right now, actually, personally. But first thing, most important, is playlist.
Okay.
So if you want to watch things, so the base version, like you can watch unlimited videos with no ads.
Yeah.
But you got to pick them individually. Like one finishes, you go back to your computer, you push the blue button again.
Right.
Gotcha. If you want to build a list of videos, $1.50 a month.
Right. Okay.
It's just simple. Like it's a little upgrade. It's a little cost just to be able to say just to be able to keep us developing the thing.
Sure. But it is one of those things that you're like after you've used it for a little while, you're like, I'd like to actually make a list of videos to play like one after the other.
Yeah.
How can $1.50? All right, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The second thing is subtitle customization, so you can change the size, position, and stuff. That's more the international.
Yeah.
Some people are okay with the basic one we built. Some people want a little more freedom, and that's basically what we didn't want to ever cut functionality from the app, make it unusable from some people, or put up paywalls or anything like that, and no ads. So those are the kinds of things we came up with. And the last thing is it's also download notifications on your phone. So what we'll do is pretend you buy something off iTunes and starts downloading. We detect that, and when it finishes downloading, we send you a push notification to your phone, wherever you are. And with the Android app, that means if you're in your house when that happens, you know what you have done, but you can tap that notification, it'll start playing on your TV right away.
Okay.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the iTunes store. So can I download or purchase video from something like the iTunes store and then just have it right there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The problem is that if you're specifically iTunes, if you're not within the Apple ecosystem, they make it not the best to get it to play on your television unless you have the Apple TV plus the MacBook plus iTunes running, and which is kind of a debacle.
That's what made me ask, because Apple doesn't like to play with Android so nicely all the time.
No,
right?
but once you own the video, our take is you should I bought the video. I should be able to watch it on the screen I want to watch it on, and I might have a Chromecast, but I bought the video from you. I didn't buy my way into the Apple ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that'll
so,
be fun.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's.
And you guys are constantly indexing the media files on the user's computer.
If they've set up a library, yeah. And
okay.
I guess the important thing is we also keep all of the. We don't collect emails or anything, actually. No. So everything is detached from people and what they're watching. I could never, no one could ever ask me what's so and so watching. So it's nice. But on aggregate, we can see trends.
Right.
We can see when Game of Thrones is popular or something like that.
Right.
Always.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty much all. Frozen is always popular.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, it doesn't matter what you watch, you also want to watch Frozen.
That's too funny.
Steadfast
so, Matt,
rule.
You guys are like a teenage startup. You're not babies anymore. You've graduated. You've got huge user base. We chatted a little bit earlier about sort of the stages that you've gone through. We're big fans of the startup show, Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you see any parallels? Because you guys are not Pied Piper, but you're doing streaming and you're doing compression and you're working as a team in a house. And
no, we're not doing middle out. But
do you see any? You see any comparisons, or is that what do you think of that show?
Yeah, people always ask us because we did I love the show. I just I think I watched 9 episodes of the second season all in one night, like last week.
Right.
Using
so you're
video
caught
stream.
up.
Yeah, I just killed them all in,
Yeah.
in order.
Sure.
I personally actually don't watch video and TV a lot in my free time, the very little amount I have, but I love that show.
Sure,
So there's a
sure.
short list of shows that I'll stay up to date on, and that's I literally saved that so I could watch it all at once because
Right.
I knew I'd want to.
Yeah.
So I guess that it's interesting. Like we did start out. I guess we started in an accelerator. It wasn't in someone's house. It was
Yeah.
here in Communitech. So we were in Hyperdrive 2 years ago.
Okay, wait. Before we get into the whole backstory, because I do want to dive into that, we got to throw out our sponsorship.
Yeah.
Let's not throw them out.
Because I have a tendency to forget these kind of things and
Oh,
get
dear.
caught up in the conversation. So we're going to throw in a quick message from our sponsor, Igloo Software. Take a listen. Tell us what you think. And
Saw Dan in the paper the other day.
Yes.
Yes, Igloo's moving to a new location. I think.
Oh.
Dan being the CEO of Igloo.
Yes.
Yes. And
La
who you?
Tendre.
Yeah, and you'll hear him on this little spot here. So anyway, check it out, and we'll be back with you in a few seconds.
When you use our product, you should be able to use it right away.
Igloo is kind of like a big box of Lego. If you know how to use it, you can turn it into anything you want.
You don't have to have a giant crew to work with Igloo. You can just turn it on and it just works.
The good thing about Igloo is that it's not forcing you to learn how to use the platform. The platform learns how to be used by you.
I mean, my life could be drowning in paperwork, but instead I have one platform to keep my life organized.
Igloo, an internet you'll actually like.
That was awesome.
Yes, wonderful.
Igloo sounds fantastic.
It is a really cool place, and I can't wait to see their new digs.
They had
Yeah.
they had the best swag this week at the job fair. They had like these little pump Nerf guns.
Yes, I
And-
got one of those
yeah.
actually. Yeah, my 5-year-old used it for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I'm
before
just
it
like a
started to
big
break.
5-year-old, so I used it for like an hour and a half shooting people in the office. But you know,
Igloo is on the top of their game,
Yeah.
and not only in the swag department, I believe.
there you
Yes.
So-
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So sorry to interrupt the flow of the conversation, but we're going to dive back into the history of Videostream.
So we're talking about Hyperdrive
Yeah.
and Communitech, which is now Communitech Rev.
go. Yep,
Can-
Rev.
Can
yep.
we go back even before Hyperdrive? Because
It was a cold and stormy
we had-
night.
You had that weekend. You got the buzz through being pushed to what was it? The first people who kind of broke your app.
Oh no! So we were in Hyperdrive. This is the trick.
You were in Hyperdrive before this.
before
became a
this
thing.
product
Oh.
even was conceptualized, before Chromecast was released. We were in Hyperdrive 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's what brought us to Kitchener.
And what were you in Hyperdrive for if it wasn't this?
So it was a company called Group Notes.
Okay.
What happened was our team actually met, strangely enough, if you know Startup Weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
So our team, we're a Startup Weekend team.
Wow.
We didn't really know each other.
Okay.
To 3 years ago, nobody did not know the different. We had
Yeah.
bits of friends that came together at Startup Weekend.
Yeah.
So we competed at Toronto Startup Weekend. Made a team.
Yeah.
Won Toronto Startup Weekend.
And this is with Group Notes?
This is the Group Notes. This
Okay.
is like a 48-hour hackathon.
Yeah. And what did Group Notes do?
Group Notes was a web annotation tool, something that's been tried many, many times, and
Okay.
we thought we'd be different.
and
It was
were
you.
you?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you won.
yeah, it was we won that.
Yeah, yeah.
We had we were at that point trying to be B2B. We were going to sell this web annotation tool to educators. It let you basically highlight any text or images on the web,
Right.
leave virtual sticky note next to it, and you could tag people to it, and they get notifications in their built into their browser that would bring them to that note.
Yeah.
So you could work on projects across the internet together. You could sticky note a textbook and hand it back and forth type thing.
Yeah, which sounds super cool, and I have seen other things similar to this around. I'm not sure why they never have actually caught on in real life.
I think the interesting part is students go in cycles, and not being a social app, something they want to use, is harder. You really need the educator to say you're using this. And
Right.
there was good reasons for them to want to, but at the same time, I think as a B2B, talking to educators, sales cycle type thing, and we were very new to startups at this point. We were not planning to be doing this full time when we started Group Notes.
Right.
We were just noobs, basically. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't have the passion when it was a B2B thing.
Sure.
So we won the Toronto Startup Weekend. Then we won Global Startup Battle, which is the worldwide startup weekend.
Wow.
So we'd worked on a thing for 54 hours, however long that contest works, and suddenly they're flying us to the Valley to meet investors.
Wow. Yeah.
2 weeks later, and we're what are we even doing? 2 of us were in school, 2 people had full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And then in between these random things we'd won, I got we got a tour of Communitech
Okay.
from Steve Woods up in Google.
Yeah.
And we'd never heard of Communitech.
Were you guys from the area or from Toronto? Or?
No, so 2 of us were from Hamilton, and like others were from like Oakville, Mississauga. Like so, we all
like GTA.
we trucked it in. So they accepted us into Hyperdrive super late.
Right.
For like the February cohort.
Wow.
After we won this thing in December, like we hadn't been a company when like applications were even due.
Right.
So they were just like, come to final interviews, we'll see what happens. So we came, gave a 10-minute pitch.
Yeah.
They liked the cut of our jib.
Sure. It's all about the jib.
Yeah.
I gotta dust off my jib. I haven't even looked at it in a while.
I haven't used mine in years.
I hear you.
So yeah, and we got accepted into Hyperdrive, got here. The program was 3 months back then.
Yep.
They also had like investment, so we took $40K from the Hyperdrive fund, and that, you know, we were in our 2 of us were in our final year of McMaster.
Wow.
We dropped out.
Wow.
Much to the chagrin of our
Yes.
parents. I'm going to keep using just
Yeah,
chagrin and
obscure words
jib,
are
and
awesome.
let's do it.
I'm looking forward to skullduggery.
I'm a McMaster graduate myself, by the way.
Oh, okay,
from,
cool.
Way back in the day. But
You guys
yes,
do a chest bump or a secret handshake then or something? Or
if there is one, I don't know. My program was linguistics, and I think I was the only man in my graduating class. So the rest were all girls. So there wasn't a lot of chest bumping going on
didn't
among
imagine there
that
would be.
group.
Not that you
Anyway,
knew of.
Not that I knew of, exactly. Anyway, yeah, so people are dropping out and stuff. And
Yeah,
you're taking
people quitting
money,
jobs. We got here. We did the commute for about a week, and we said we don't like driving from Hamilton, so we rented the main floor of a place down the street, walking distance from here.
Okay.
There was 4 of us there.
Like just the main floor of a house? You
One
guys are all living
bedroom.
there together?
1 bedroom house.
Oh, geez.
So
Did
you
you guys
had
have like bunk beds or hammocks? or
no,
something?
so it was worse than that because we still had rented other places, and like we didn't think, we thought, oh, we're here for 3 months, like we'll just make do. Like we were spending like, we had no product. Like we were spending ludicrous hours in Communitech every day just to try to catch up to where the other companies were.
Right.
Right.
We made the conscious decision not to buy Wi-Fi for the house because it would make us stay here longer if we wanted to go on Facebook. Like, now I have to stay at the office.
yeah. So that's a real commitment then.
Yeah. Well, we gave one guy the master bedroom because he had a mattress, and when he showed up, it turned out he owned a cat.
Right.
So he got the room.
Yeah.
Graham.
That's real dirty play.
Yeah. Graham. Well, also Graham's allergic to cats, so Graham got the other dedicated room with a door, which is a closet. He
Right.
brought a couch and he put it in the closet, and he slept there for 3 months.
Jeez.
And me and Jason split the living room, which just never had blinds, and we slept on mattresses on the floor. I had like gym mats. He had like a mattress.
Right.
We slept like next to each other, just like on this. Like our neighbors thought we were crazy because there's no blinds, so you'd wake up and we'd be getting up at like 9:30.
Yeah.
Just like 2 like shirtless guys get up off the ground and like waving out the bay window to our neighbor mowing the lawn, like, hey, and we're like, what is this house?
So sacrifices were made.
It was like a clown car of a house. Yeah, just like
And essentially just a place to sleep and
That
be
was
sheltered
it.
from the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Refuel.
Wow.
So we came out of the program 3 months later, and we said, you know what, this Communitech thing, this Kitchener Waterloo startup scene is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone want to move the company, or do we want to like move our belongings here? Because we've been living out of like duffel bags for
So
3
you brought
months,
your
basically.
you brought your toothbrush over.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided, like we let our leases expire in our other cities, and we just like moved our stuff here, and we moved into a slightly bigger house with 4 bedrooms,
Okay.
like a block away.
All right.
And then
Awesome.
we were out of Hyperdrive.
And you were still, at this point, what was the name of the company? The
Group
earlier-
Notes
Group
Inc.
yes. Right.
Right after Hyperdrive, I'd say, after we moved into that house, though, we decided to like not do that as much anymore.
Okay.
We like looked at the numbers, we talked to our users, and we said, this isn't quite working.
Was it that Hyperdrive experience that kind of solidified that this isn't a good
Hyperdrive helped. We
business
just
thing?
learned so much in such a small amount of time that we really just kind of, one day we decided, like, we got to take a step back and say, like, look, if we're going to start a company from scratch, would it be this company?
Yeah.
Like, would we be making this or something like this? And we decided it wouldn't be exactly this.
Right.
And like, it just, eventually you just got to make the decision to like kill the thing you'd been working on night and day for 3 months. And that's a hard choice. But
Especially
once
when you had so much success at the beginning, right? Because everybody's telling you yes, yes, yes.
Exactly.
And green lights all the way. And
Yeah.
Money and hype.
Yeah, there was money and hype and like
ego
we were
gets inflated. You know.
Mashable and TechCrunch and stuff without a product, and it was like we look back and we're like, wow, that was nutty that like
Yeah.
How do we
blocks
do
would
that?
cover it. But
That's very outside the common experience of
Yes.
most startup individuals.
we had a
right?
very
Yeah.
abnormal. People ask like, oh, like you dropped out of school, should I? Was like, look, we had like Office space and 40K on the table. That made it an easier decision than like just dropping things to try.
Sure, sure.
When people ask, it was a very abnormal experience. We just kind of got. It wasn't like we like tried to dive in. It was like we got pulled down, pulled into the whole ecosystem. So
can I ask who else was in your hyperdrive cohort? Because we've had a few people that we've interviewed here that I think might have been also.
We were with Plum. Plum.io, who was Cream HR back then. We were with Pump Up, who's now in Toronto.
Right.
A few defunct companies. Who else did we had? We had Well Read, who turned into LaunchBot, which a bunch of accelerators are now using to manage their cohorts.
Right.
Who else was in there? Salmon of Inception Mobile, but he's gone to the States now, so you probably haven't met him.
No. I think like Plasticity and Renomy and those guys came after you guys.
Yeah, they were the cohort after us. I remember welcoming them to the family, so to speak.
We've had a few people from them on in the past as well, but it's interesting to hear how things go and where they're coming from. So okay, so you decided to drop it, and did you have an idea for Videostream at that point?
No, we tried to do a social sharing platform built on top of along the same. We actually looked at the group notes usage, and we saw what people were doing.
Right.
Was actually highlighting the titles of YouTube videos and just saying like LOL and like shipping that to a bunch of their friends with @
Right.
So we said, you know what people actually want to do? They want to share really, really quick.
Right.
So we built it from the ground up as like a sharing thing. It let you, in one click, you could share a web page with people, and it would start a real-time discussion on top of the page. And they had like this chat head type thing where your face would like roll into their browser while they were in like browsing. They see your face appear, you'd click it, you'd be looking at the same video or whatever.
Sure.
How many users did you guys have for that at its peak?
Like under 10,000
right.
in there.
Okay.
So like not anything that's like. The people who got on it really liked it. We still have people. We took the servers down recently, and we still have people that yell at us for taking those servers down.
Wow.
Because like once you got stuck, you got stuck. But the problem is like the value proposition of saying, hey, you know what sucks? Like sharing. Like sharing's so slow, and people were like, "What do you mean? There's a share button on everything." Like, I literally I feel like I'm like one click away from sharing porn by accident.
Right.
Like I don't need another way to like share. And when people actually tried it, they loved it and they stuck. But getting people onto it was a hard sell.
Sure.
It was like a free platform. Yeah, and then we had all these people that were like in the city. You get a lot of pull to go B2B. Like you see that, and just our passion's always been in consumer. I think like forever doing this like round 2 in 10 years will probably be B2B because like we have a lot of good ideas in that space. But now I guess like for B2B type things that we saw when we do have some work experience.
Sure. But I love the consumer focus. Like I think that is something that's lacking in this particular ecosystem is people willing to take the chance to work with the average folks, right? And not just the relatively less risky play of trying to sell the businesses.
It's scary, like being in consumer land. Like you're just like, well, like I don't know. We launched on TechCrunch and Product Hunt and we didn't explode. Now what do we do? Like now it's hard.
Because I think that's what it comes down to in the consumer world. It's either you're huge or you're nothing.
Well, and especially with the investors and things like that. It's just like, are you huge? Okay, we'll see you later. Like I don't know. There's not much else to do.
You're saying you get a lot of international traction?
Sorry, we do now. Yeah, we have a ton. We have only about 30 some odd % of our usage is in the U.S. right now, which is interesting.
The U.S. then?
So that's the biggest chunk still, but a lot of Europe and Canada is right behind coming up.
So let's get back to the timeline.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right. So you guys are working on this social sharing thing.
We're doing that. Yeah. In the social sharing thing, we noticed something interesting in our user base again that we wanted to try, which was people would go to videos online and they would type 3, 2, 1. And we're like, what does this mean? And they'd start talking. And we realized that they were going to the same video at the same time because we had this chat on the screen. Yeah. They're counting on 3, 2, 1. They're both hitting play. And
so
they'd watch the video together and they'd talk about it and say like, they'd talk. And it was interesting. And we said, this is an interesting thing. How can we make this better? And us being like, 4 developers in a house, we made another product. And it was syncing platform for Netflix.
Right.
So we sunk multiple Netflix streams within about 10 milliseconds of each other because we found out that it really mattered how closely in sync it was. And we built our own implementation of Skype on top of it.
Wow.
So you could talk and see each other and like type whatever you wanted to turn on and off, basically a combination of real-time communications on top of an in-sync Netflix video with like a bunch of your friends.
Sure.
Cool.
And the people who really wanted that and would pay for it were actually people in long-distance relationships.
Right.
So that's just a small market that's constantly losing you users as people move together or break up. So it was awesome technology. We had a lot of fun doing that, and a lot of that actually helped us learn about video. Because video is something that not a lot of people work with.
Sure.
It's hard. You say, like, I need video experience. Like, most cities, you're like, they don't exist, because how many video companies are there that do streaming video?
Yeah.
Like, now you're looking at, like, well, everyone who's good at it, like, goes to work for Netflix.
Right.
So we taught ourselves from the ground up.
And
stuff
I
like
don't know
that.
if you know, there's another startup who was at the Communitech job fair thing at Binghamton's too, called WeMesh.
WeMesh, yep.
That is doing synced
The
up
syncing,
video.
yeah, exactly.
And we've had them on the podcast as past guests as well.
Yeah, and they're doing stuff that's cool. There's this like YouTube and stuff, quicker things, and I can see that, and it's mobile. Ours was like you're sitting with your computer. So what happened was some of our technology got built then because we were trying to see if we could get it working on TVs with the Skype implementation on the TV, and you could watch on the TV and like use the laptop just as a camera.
Right.
But like while we were working on that is when Videostream happened. So
Right.
I guess that was technically like our fourth product.
So can I just ask, how long is it? Are you kind of in the mix with each of these things? So like Group Notes was at least 3 or 4 months.
We took Group Notes. We were really pressing Group Notes. Probably we were trying it for probably 6 or 8 months. Really,
Okay.
it's like there was still hope.
Okay. And then your social sharing app, which came after that, was how long did that exist for?
Probably we learned to kill it faster that time. It was probably like 4 months maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
type thing.
And then the video sharing
and the video syncing was like 2 months.
2 months.
That was called Dobby. And
gotcha.
yeah, we had a little picture of the Harry Potter elf on that page.
Yeah, no copyright issues.
Yeah,
there.
no, not at all. I don't. Yeah, Netflix probably would have also not been happy with us, like
Sure.
controlling their video in ways they didn't anticipate. But
Right. Sure.
There's cool tech built there, though. I miss working on it. We just did really cool stuff to get that in sync.
Yeah.
And then, like, just working on that, Videostream came up organically. And that's what we learned was just, like, if you build something, because, like, none of those per se were problems we felt. Well, I mean, we turned to love the social sharing thing. We used it a ton, and we miss it ourselves. But it wasn't a pain point. And once you start solving your own problems, I mean, like, for us, it was just lucky that, like, our problem existed magnified over millions of people across the world that we can now reach.
Yeah, right.
But, like, once you build it for yourself, it's so easy to make the beginning calls. You don't have to go query 50 users like we used to say, like, what should we build next? What's the problems? We're just like, well, obviously, we're sitting, like, week 8, and we're like, this thing is a remote control. I'm going to kill someone. Like, I need a remote, and that's where the Android app came from.
Right.
It's just really easy to make a call when you're using the thing every day naturally.
Yeah.
In a home, basically, and, like, using Videostream. You're like,
Sure.
Like, you don't have to say, like, does it need a pause button? Like, I don't know.
You figure it out by using it.
You just know.
You dog food it.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
What now? How long ago was that then? Where you spent the weekend building your super MVP?
Yeah, that was a year and a few months ago. I'd say
Okay.
year and 2, year and 3 type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we've always been the same incorporation. We're still Group Notes Inc. to this day.
Oh.
So same cap table.
Sure.
We didn't ditch any of our first investors or anything like that.
And do you
So
still
you
have
just
the
flipped
same?
them over to the new concept then? The investors stayed on board with the team and
Yeah,
not the concept?
well, what we were lucky in is that like the people who gave us money in the early days like weren't necessarily like sold on the idea. They were just like, you guys are like, they liked our team, and they really stuck by. And when we said like, you know what, this thing's not working, like we've decided to like stop doing that. We're going to try other stuff, and they're like, yeah, do it. Like we trust that you're going to build something eventually.
Sure. And is it the same team since back at Startup Weekend?
There's been some changes.
Okay.
3 of us are still from the original Startup Weekend team.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, there was some leaves and things like that. But
Sure.
yeah, the three of the founders are still here.
And somehow you guys are still finding ways to keep fed and pay your rent and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we make some money off the video
people,
stream now.
$1.99 at a time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some monthly money.
Not
and
all
stuff.
million are paying the money, but
No. If a million people were paying me $1.50 a month, I'd probably have a nicer office, car, coffee.
Right.
This wouldn't be the free.
upgrade.
This wouldn't be the free Communitech coffee. I would have sprung for the ball sacks if a million people were
Right.
paying me $1.50 a month.
Try the maple syrup. It's really
yeah.
good.
Okay,
Yeah,
there
is
we
it
go.
good?
I tried it
Excellent.
once.
Yeah, so
that's a really amazing story. Now, I want to just bring up a subject we were talking about a little bit before we started recording. But,
breakfast.
Well, there is breakfast.
Getting closer to
Not
lunch,
breakfast, but more along the lines of we were talking about trying to find good tech talent and
Yeah.
finding good developers. And this is a subject that we haven't kind of delved into too much in the course of our previous podcast, but I thought it would be cool to kind of hear from a startup that is, dealing with this kind of issue, because I think it's an issue a lot of other startups are trying to figure out as well. How to find good talent, how to lure people away from working at a big cubicle farm with a really nice, nearly six-figure salary. Or
It's not when you
close
sell it
to
as
six-figure.
cubicle farm. It's not as hard for me.
I guess that's true, but
The six figures,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some nice cubicle
Six figures
farms,
is
too,
yeah.
yeah.
you
But
can always hang up a picture.
Yeah.
so how have you found, like, what kind of tricks or techniques do you use to kind of get you guys, to cut through the noise and say, hey, come work for us, we're worth being with, kind of thing?
Well, what I'll say first is for everyone listening, hey, come work for us, we're worth being with. We're hiring right now developers. Email Matt at getvideostream.com if you're looking for a development job in KW, and we have money to pay you, etc.
Super full stack work.
Yeah, super duper full stack. If you like anything between assembly and CSS, any language, come
Which
find
is pretty
us.
much every developer.
That's
right?
pretty
That's
much
a pretty wide net, isn't it?
If you're not, unless you're a silicon,
yeah.
unless you're making the chips, I think we have a place for you. So, which is funny. That's actually where my co-founder used to do. It's like silicon. Yeah,
Really?
crazy. Yeah,
The
for
actual chips.
Thunderbolt chips, MacBook.
Wow.
It was like low level. We were mechatronics, like low level embedded engineers before this, but hardware startups are really expensive to run.
But it's awesome that you guys are covering such a wide, range of the knowledge base.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That kind of leads into one of the things. One of the things that we sell people on is that like you're going to get access and like to like good. I think at least in smaller circles, we're known as a good development team. Like,
Sure.
Just really, we know our way around code.
Yeah.
So we're a good place. Like if you want to learn about video, there's not a lot of places, and a lot of the technologies we used are very. We solve problems that you can't find answers to on Stack Overflow. I guess the thing on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So that's an environment that like people who really like programming like and enjoy.
Yeah.
You're going to learn stuff that like you couldn't just Google.
Yeah, right.
Which is actually like a very important thing to keep learning. One of the biggest problems you have is like a junior developer at a bigger company is you're just grinding it out. Your job is not quite like, a repeated assembly line job, but it is still not as far-reaching with as much learning as you'd want right out of school. You come from an environment where you're learning new stuff and it's really cool, and you go work at a place and, you got a 6-month project and it's like not code that you enjoy and you're just sort of Googling answers to like simple, trivial problems. It's not as exciting. So there's that aspect.
I like that quote where you said you're learning stuff that you can't learn on Stack Overflow, because I feel like I've dabbled in Ruby on Rails, and I've got a little bit of programming skills out there, and I was always on Stack Overflow to try to figure stuff out, right? Yeah. And so I think there are very rare places and situations where you can actually work outside of that ecosystem.
Exactly,
which is
and not
awesome.
to knock Stack Overflow. I love Stack Overflow.
No,
like
I think many programmers would be lost without it.
No,
So,
no,
yeah.
100%.
You get the front of the wave, right? So everybody
Exactly.
afterwards has to figure out those questions, and then you guys can provide those answers. But as
yeah,
you're,
exactly, and rolling
you're
stuff
leading
back.
the charge there, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, rolling stuff back to open source or answering other people who have these problems on Stack Overflow. Like we like doing that stuff.
Sure.
So there's that aspect, and really I think it comes down to a lot to the environment and the person. You can tell when somebody's looking for if the first question is like money benefits.
Right.
Not a lot of you probably won't be able to compete as a startup. But if they're asking about the business and like what your plans are and like maybe about like how much equity do you give away, people like that's more in tune, because like really the difference is you can take a bunch of money now. But if you're going for a job at a startup, you really need to believe in their vision and that they're going to make that tons of money, especially as, when you get into like the 20th employee, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the first 100 employees at Facebook are all millionaires, but like you had to believe that Facebook was going to be that big to take that deal.
Sure.
And that's really the thing. You got to like the environment. You got to meet the whole team, I'd say. Like as somebody, if I was going to apply to a startup, I'd say like, I want to meet the whole team.
Yeah.
I want to work with them a bit, and that's why our interview process involves like a 1 day. We give you two of our guys like dedicated, and you guys build a thing together. Like whatever language you want, like we build a thing. Like yesterday we had somebody in building Battleship for Chromecast.
Right.
And they did it in a day with like 3 people in a room. And like that's the thing. It's like you want to make sure you can work with these people because it's a small team.
Yeah.
And that it's an environment you like. I mean, we're not all ping pong tables and air hockey and stuff like that. We got like our snack corner, but it's more like, are you going to enjoy working on the stuff you do? Because it's going to be challenging is the thing. And it's not the kind of thing that you just, if you like, some people really like the job where you go to it every day and you grind it out and you do the same thing and you get your paycheck.
Yeah.
I would say.
But that's not the startup world.
No,
right?
no. But there is this set of people that don't want that, and those
Right.
are the people we're trying to find.
Yes.
But it's also very competitive for those people in a city like this. It's the I'd say like the upside of the Waterloo community is everything like being here and the startups there and all the help and everyone's eager to do help. But like once everyone's in hiring mode, then suddenly you're competing for a thing.
Right.
And like I think knowing the startups in town, like everyone's so competitive, like it's going to be hard to hire.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the entrepreneurially minded developers usually have like their own project or 2 or 3 or 5
exactly
that they want to take a run at, right? Whereas the people who are less entrepreneurial minded, they're the ones who are just going to get the job at a big company, doing the grinding work, and they're not the people you want anyway, right? So,
I think honestly, the thing is for me, like if I had graduated when I was supposed to McMaster, and like I hadn't gone the startup route right away, I think I should, like really looking back, what I should have done if I was going to go back to my past self and I didn't go down this path, I would just like go work at a startup for 2 years and like understand, and learn, and that's a big thing. I think you can read a ton of books and blogs and things like that, but like until you've like been through the whole process, and that's one of the things. Like one of the things is like having your voice heard at a company is so surreal for someone who's spent their whole time working at big companies as a co-op or an intern coming out of school. You pop out of school, like I'd work for like actually always companies here. I went to McMaster, but I was working for companies in the area.
Sure.
And just like you're such a cog as a co-op. It's like lower than a cog. You're like the glue that holds the cog to the shaft because like you have no say. You just do the thing. And it was like 16 months of, I actually only lasted 8 months of my 16-month co-op because I quit because I was so bored.
Wow. Crazy.
And we talk about that a lot at school, at Conestoga College, is that we do the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you do the thing that gets the paycheck.
We do the thing.
And then it gets you the resume note so you can get the slightly better thing to do next until you can get the thing where you make a decision.
Right.
If you go and work
like you talked about earlier, for you and your journey, it was like 4 different iterations before you're doing the thing that you want to do, right?
Exactly.
So when you're finding an employee, you have to have them buy into the thing that you're so excited about, right?
Yeah, and
so
the thing,
not only the skill and the fit and the culture and all that stuff, they have to be excited about video.
They got to be excited about
they have to be
the
that
product.
Customer.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'll say is the interesting thing is we had our first employee we actually hired before Videostream.
Okay.
And he moved into our house with us in that old house.
Right.
And he slept on our futon for 8 months.
Wow.
We bought him. Like I remember Jason going to pick him up. We had interviewed him in McMaster Library. Jason drove back to Hamilton Drive, and he was like yelling in the phone. He's like, "Go, go, go!" And I was like going to Walmart, buying a futon. Went back to Walmart because we forgot he didn't have blinds in his room. Got back. We're like, "Here's your futon,"
Here's your
and like
space, we're
gonna eventually get money and get. You can have enough money to have an apartment. I swear.
We'll buy curtains.
But he believed in like the team and what we were doing, and even through the transition from like throwing out our old stuff. He stayed, and like we know he had competitive job offers. Like he's phenomenal. He's the type of guy who goes home and codes more.
Right.
And he's awesome.
Right.
And that's the thing, I guess. And really believing in the team and the vision, and keeping the team in the loop about like why you do everything, and letting people challenge that is again like so different from any other job you would have worked at as like a new grad or like that you have worked at. Where you're like, I don't, you can go to the CEO of the 7-person company and say, I don't think you should do it like that, or I think you're looking at this problem wrong.
Sure.
And like, he'll sit down and be like, please explain to me why I'm wrong, because like, otherwise I'm going to sink, someone's 2 weeks into this project.
Right.
I would rather be told I'm wrong. And like, I just you never see that, like at a big company. And like really making that impact. And I guess also the other bonus is people like seeing their code go out.
Yes.
I suffer from this syndrome at one of my jobs where I worked on stuff for 7 months that never saw the light of day.
Yes.
And like ever, like still.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like here, like we're doing code releases like daily.
Yeah. And you're right. You want to feel like that the thing that you're pouring your heart and soul into is
it
valuable enough to make it into the public eye or the final product.
Exactly.
I worked for 5 years. I lived in the Middle East in Qatar, doing like teaching gig in a technical college over there, and we had all kinds of like curriculum design projects and like creating literature and things to use for students that I would say 3/4 of the time never got used, right? It just became busy work to kill time when they couldn't fill up your schedule, your teaching schedule. And it makes you feel worthless when they're like, thanks for putting together this 40-page booklet.
Yeah.
into the garbage. Next thing you do,
The saddest
Thanks,
teams.
Darren. I've got one of those due tomorrow, actually.
Sorry, man.
Oh, baby.
Yep.
The saddest people I saw at my old job were the people who were on teams that it had been over a year since like any of the things they'd worked on had like hit the market.
Right.
And like that's just the most. If you haven't experienced it, it's hard to describe. But you're just like you spent time, you've done long hours for this big faceless corporation, like because. Past all of the big corporation cog in the wheel stuff, like you still want to see the stuff you worked on get used. Like you do care,
sure,
like about the project you have. And I was making hardware, and just like having things thrown out and chucked out, you're just like, like you might have like now all I have is money from you, and like that's
right.
the point where like you're hunting,
right.
And like if you're in that scenario and you hate that. Come work for a startup because like your stuff like nothing gets assigned that is not critically important on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, absolutely.
Like no, you don't have time. You don't have cycles to assign to stuff that might not get released. You just don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is essentially a very long pitch for
Videostream.
Come work
exactly.
at Videostream.
I mean, like,
which is great.
Looking at how other companies in the area operate too. Like, I'm friends with like a bunch of founders here, and it's all the same. Like, you get. I don't mean like it's the same workplaces. Like, different cultures, different types of work, different code bases and stuff like that. Yep. But like, the best employees are there for the same reasons in regard to that company, and that's they really, really do believe and trust, and like knowing more than just the one thing they do every day.
Right.
And they might want to dabble in even other parts of the business. And, like, we don't hide our analytics and our numbers from anybody within the company. Like, we have a meeting every morning when we have our numbers up on the board and we say, like, these are the numbers. They're either better or worse than, like, last week. Like, how do we make it go more in the right direction?
Sure.
And, like, is everyone's project going to do that for next week? No. Okay, what do you want to push out before next week?
Right.
To keep the number going. And you don't. The worst stories you hear are when people are like, I thought everything was fine, and then everyone get laid off at the company type thing. Like, at our job, you'll know 6 months in advance if that might possibly happen because everyone's looking at everything if they want to every day. We don't hide anything, right?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, Target. Surprise.
Yeah. Hey, goodbye.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you guys came together at a startup weekend as well. Like, one of my first really amazing experiences after I came to Kitchener-Waterloo, and I only moved here less than 2 years ago, was participating in a startup weekend here at Communitech, and my idea didn't do quite as well as yours. It was my idea. We put together a team of 10. We came in third place that weekend. We got we bought a bunch of beer and appetizers at the Firkin pub, but with our winnings, that was about it, and got a lot of like coffee mugs and T-shirts out of it. But I did meet one guy I met that weekend is a guy that I'm like long-term involved in a major kind of startup project with.
You guys have gone beyond dating, haven't you?
That's right. somebody else I met that weekend. I'm still getting together for coffee like every month, and we're trading contacts and stuff about our different projects and stuff. Several other people on my team, have asked me to like give them references for new jobs and stuff. And so like it's just amazing how that kind of spider webs out into so many other potential opportunities, So you never know, like, kind of how your life is going to take a completely different direction when you show up at an event like that. And next thing you know, several years later, you're living in an apartment, sleeping on mats together.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how did you represent yourself when you went to that? Because everybody sort of shows up and say, "I'm a developer. I'm an idea guy. I'm a marketer."
Yeah.
So, like, how is your evolution through showing up at a startup weekend to just pitch into a team to now being obviously the leader of something that's pretty cool?
I guess the interesting part, what I'll say is I'm actually not the CEO of Videostream at this point.
Okay.
I was never really... I like pitching. I like talking.
Sure.
There's a different skill set needed for CEOing that I'm not the biggest fan of, and going along the lines of doing what you want, I'm COO.
Right.
Technically, I guess. I'm office mom, actually.
Cool.
I still get to touch code a little more, too, so that's nice. But at the original, I did pitch the original idea for group notes. The interesting part was, like, I showed up, I knew, like, I'd been to one other startup weekend.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, when people ask me where to find a co-founder, because that question gets asked a ton in startup land, is I just say go to a startup weekend. Like, at worst, it's a fun weekend with, like, food.
Yeah.
And probably drinks, and you'll meet some people that, and you'll get to network with the mentors and, like, more often investors and, like, helpful people. And, like, at best, you find your co-founder. I mean, like, and there's not really a downside. If you like startups, you should be able to get through a startup weekend. Sure. It's not like, twist my arm, come to startup weekend. Like, go there, meet people, and, like, just don't
get
try to
involved.
network, quote unquote. Just say hi to a bunch of people and see who you like.
Yeah,
because that's like number one for a co-founder. Because like you need to eat, sleep, breathe the same thing, and you're each other's support for all sorts of junk.
Yeah.
The whole way through. So
absolutely.
I've lost my train of thought. What was I answering?
Meet
So
a
your
co-founder.
development and your
Oh, yeah,
evolution
there we
as
go.
you've sort of come through.
Yeah,
so
so-
you didn't position yourself as the CEO. You were the pitch guy and the idea guy at the beginning.
I mean,
and-
there it was just sort of, you don't even have positions there. You're just like, everyone's going to do stuff for 54, 48, 54, whatever hours it is. You just like get it done.
Yeah.
So I went there, I pitched the idea. I remember pitching, I was third top voted for pitches.
Awesome.
Because this Toronto Startup Weekend is North America's biggest, so I knew I had to bring my A game. I'd been to another one, a small one, and
Yeah.
I'd gotten, like, my pitch had gotten chosen there. It was a different idea.
Right.
But
Bring me there. Did you have the vest on? Did you wear the hat again? Or
I
what was the
actually
look?
wore an 8-bit tie.
Oh, cool.
And I held up like a sign. I was like, "Remember the guy with the tie? My name is Matt." And I went over. They had the Toronto Startup Weekend is so big. They have an app for voting on ideas.
Wow.
So many pitches, it's like hours of pitches.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get even noticed. So I
Right.
pitched the idea, and I said I left it hanging. I said I had a super sweet way to make money, but it was a secret.
Yeah.
I'll only divulge if I get voted in. And I had them put me into the voting system as Matt with the tie.
Right.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
And so like people would go through and be like, "Oh yeah, the guy with the
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
and I was,
yeah,
and I was wearing the
tie.
blue tie still, and I had the sign that said like, "Come on, join my team."
Sure.
And we got voted in third, so we also grew a massive team that weekend, which was super
Right.
helpful. We had like 15 people working on like the first proof of concept stuff for the
Yeah.
weekend. Not a lot of developers, just like our few core people that we kept
Sure.
actually, and like a lot of people that could do. We were
Like
that B2B thing,
PowerPoint
so we were
stuff,
trying to get
yeah.
like we were actually startup weekend. We were told Toronto is so competitive that for validation, like SurveyMonkey is not enough. So we closed $500 in sales that weekend.
Wow.
To
Crazy.
win that thing. We were like calling teachers and like selling them on the concept of group notes in their classroom and like taking
you were-
$50 from them.
So you got
Wow.
commitments for $50 kind of thing, right?
No, we were taking it through PayPal.
The
wow.
actual
Okay.
money.
We actually
Wow.
took money. We were calling people. We were trying to find their home phone numbers because schools are closed on the weekends. And we were everything from university down to high school.
Wow.
We were just cold calling.
You guys are dangerous.
Yeah, it
That's
was
amazing.
And
Yeah,
like,
you
and
guys
that's
are dangerous.
And
That's
they say on
guerrilla
stage.
marketing.
Yeah.
Well, that was in the final pitch for that weekend. We were like, and the demo's live, and we were like marking up Wikipedia, like letting people try it.
Yeah.
Demo was live that you could like annotate, and people in the crowd could see it on Wikipedia.
Sure.
And then like, and we're like, and like in the last 30 seconds, you're like, oh, by the way, we've also sold $500 worth. Like, here's our bank account. Was like the
Wow.
kicker for that weekend.
I know we started 2 days ago.
Yeah, we started 2 days ago, but
We have
you know,
$500.
here's our sales to date.
Yeah.
With our little team of free people.
That's amazing. I mean,
That's
just
really
having
cool.
a functional demo is a relatively big deal, but having a functional demo and sales at the
Of
end of the
$500.
weekend is amazing. Yeah.
Validation is number one, and like the
Yeah.
tiers of validation is like number one is like money, number two is letters of intent, number three is SurveyMonkey.
Right,
And like we
right.
just knew that like such a big event that you're like you needed to stand out above all the noise.
Yeah.
And like sales did it, and like definitely a working demo because like we just knew like somebody was gonna have a working demo, someone's gonna have sales, so
Sure.
we need both
Yeah.
at
Sure.
the very least. And we thought like we were like still down to the wire. Like I know the final voting, I've been told from one of the judges was
Yeah.
like literally like it was so tied that like you had to like convince the other judges which team was going to win that thing.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
It was so close. I'm like picturing how different my life would be now if we hadn't have won that
Yeah.
first startup weekend.
If
Yeah.
your judge hadn't won his pitch to the
Yeah.
other judge,
Yeah, they basically pitched on the fact that they thought our team could hustle and win the global battle for Canada.
Right. Which you did.
Which we did.
Which
So
is
I
awesome.
mean that was
Yeah.
I guess the correct. I mean not saying the other team couldn't have.
No,
but,
no. But but it
yeah.
did work out well.
yeah. And Uber's never been the same since. You beat him. Yeah.
Listen to this.
yeah.
Listen, we're coming up on our time limits here, so let's do a super fast. What are we calling it? The lightning round? Thunder
It's going to be
round?
called the Matt Noise Round.
The random noise round.
the random
we don't
noise
call
round?
It random,
like
lightning
that.
round anymore. So first of all, we need a random noise from you, Matt. Give us any. Can you
boing, a
can you
zip,
make a sound effect, or is there any kind of thing you have some?
The
hidden
look of
talent?
fear in Matt's face right now is palpable.
I can make sound effects, but they're not radio appropriate. No.
Even better.
Doesn't matter. Well,
George Carlin just
We're looking
perked
for
up in
like
his grave.
2-second sound effect.
Yeah, anything.
Oh, sure.
man. Yeah, give us something.
Can I do the beaker Mimi?
Yeah, give it to
Absolutely.
us.
Just it's in my head still. I don't know. Like
Give
I
it
don't
to
know.
us,
You've done
man.
this to yourself.
I have.
No, it's
I'm not
awesome.
even. Me.
That's perfect.
It is beaker.
We got to get a translator to tell us what that means in beaker.
We'll get Swedish Chef in. And
yes.
Fluency. Yeah, exactly. I know that sound effect's going to be like a ringtone in my office now. It's the best part.
Yeah, that's what we should do with these sound effects we're collecting. We should publish like TSP Weekly ringtones that are put together from these sound effects.
You can assign them. If you know any of the founders, you can assign it to them. So like when I text somebody, they get like a me.
Dude, this is getting better and better.
The premier version for 99 cents is you can mute them.
If you make it $1.50 a month and get 1 million people, I like that. It goes okay.
I like where your head's at.
Perfect. That's how we're going to monetize this podcast.
That'd be perfect.
Let's throw a few quick questions. Do you have some questions there, Steven?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So what's the biggest hurdle that you've had to jump so far? And let's try to keep it with Videostream because you've had several pivots, obviously, right? But what's the biggest problem? You're like, oh, my God, if we could only figure this out, then the world is our oyster.
In 20 seconds or less.
I said the biggest two hurdles that the world is throwing at us. At one point, we were taken off the App Store.
Yep.
That was tough. That was really hard. We had to rename, rebrand.
Wow.
We said we were in violation of some stuff.
Yep.
Wow.
That was luckily early. And the second thing is our entire payment processor shut down business.
Oh.
And we lost all of our recurring subscriptions 1 month.
Wow.
And
that's brutal.
Yeah. So we're just recovering from that now. Like going back to where our revenue was pre that because we lost everyone who was recurring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's insane.
Yeah, I had that experience the other day with my capstone project where our lead programmer at the end of the day says, finally, I'm back to the beginning of where I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, my God, you just spent a whole day to get back to yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to throw this one at you. What thought makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning?
Usually it's whatever... I guess it's not the task I have that day, but the goal I'm going towards.
Right.
So it's like, because like I know the thing that I'm doing today, I know why I'm doing it, and like that's the thing that makes me just like bound out of bed.
Right.
Plus, there's like the cat and the alarm, but you know.
Sure. Sounds
you can only sleep on the futon for so long.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Steven?
So what's the let's do the I've got some money question. I'm paying for 3 new employees for you. So we've got as much money as we want. Who do you want to go get? Do you have anybody specifically in mind that you're trying to hire,
or a type of role?
Specific roles that you want to fill?
I want a duplicate of our last 3 hires. Like literally, if I could clone each of them, it would be brilliant. We need all developers right now.
Yeah.
And those 3 guys are just the bomb diggity, we'll say.
Full stack.
Yeah, just they can do anything. Like one of them was like, I haven't done assembly, but who cares? I'll learn. And like now he's full time on assembly.
I hate those guys.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So talented.
Yeah. What is one of your hidden talents?
Are
you like a skateboarder? Are you like an amazing karaoke singer?
Pretty good sound effects guy.
I mean, I do graphic design stuff.
Okay.
Like outside, like I'm the UX. I do all our UX, UI myself, and most of the coding for it. But like outside, I like to do graphic design. I used to have a clothing company.
Wow.
And that came out of the fact that my other thing, I used to play guitar and sing very badly. And I used to be in a touring band.
Wow.
I guess was the thing.
Sure.
And also I was a varsity fencer. I forgot about that one.
That's an amazing hidden talent.
That'll do it.
So I have a sword in my trunk, and I can fight you right now.
That is amazing.
I'm paying to watch.
Just in case you come across somebody you
pirates
need to,
or ninjas.
Yeah.
You know.
Challenge them to a duel, whip out the sword.
Well, I moved here, and everyone said, like, all the companies, they're all ninjas here. And I got scared, so I packed my sword.
That's awesome. Steven?
I'd like to see Darren's 33 push-ups versus your sword. That might be interesting to see.
It's hard to do it well.
So let's continue in that vein then. What is Videostream's unfair advantage? Videostream versus HDMI cable? Why are you guys the guys to
or your
this?
Team, right? Maybe you have an unfair advantage with your team.
Versus HDMI, I mean, it's no cord is better than cord.
Right.
Plus, we build bonuses that like HDMI don't have. Like HDMI doesn't give you the ability to control what you're watching with your phone or your watch. You can actually control it with your watch now too.
Right.
Little ads like that. HDMI doesn't keep track of where you are in a season or a series and remind you that the next season's premiering and stuff like that. It's all the ad value plus the reliability to really like triple one up HDMI. Plus, I mean, the delta between a Chromecast and like a HDMI cable at this point is even less. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. My next question, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
34 push-ups.
That's a nice even number,
Fair
too.
enough.
You'll have good symmetry in your chest,
Yes.
I don't know. Probably time stuff. I've always liked the stop time, slow motion type.
Okay.
That always sit in my head. I see them in movies, and I'm like, you could do. There's no reason there should be fights. You should just win everything. Just like instantly. There shouldn't be a reason. Time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Steven?
What's your biggest fear? And sort of in video stream, not spiders or fire.
Really, I guess like we're executing towards a goal, and like that's always like that is so many steps out from what we're doing now that there's just like very many hurdles to go through, and really there is actually going to be some like BD efforts coming up in our future, and we've done a few so far already, but they're scary for a bunch of engineers in a room.
Right.
Like literally everyone at our company is like engineer, like software. So like anything business side, like we've always learned on the fly and asked for help and things like that. So there's a lot more of that coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And knowing that is it's even more unsure than all of startups is normally.
Sure.
Yeah.
My question is, what is one startup skill you think that you've mastered at this point?
Honestly, I think I'm good at pitching.
Okay.
That's just been the thing since the beginning. I've like really enjoy getting up in front of like 1,000 people and talking.
Yeah.
Like, you have to listen to me now for 10 minutes, suckers. I'm okay with it.
Sure.
And that's like, I guess, something that I find a lot of people are like, how, that's what they're looking for. It's like somebody to do pitches and stuff. And it was interesting to me because I've always just been the person who got up on stage and did that. So
I like doing that too. I think it's great.
So I'm a developer. I'm coming out of school, and I kind of like the idea of working for a startup, but I'm intimidated by a young guy that's gone to Silicon Valley and has millions of users, and I've just moved out of my mom's house or something, so I don't have the life experience that you have. What's your advice for me to approach you for a job? Like, what do I talk about? How do I impress you guys? How do I rise above the noise as a developer so that you guys take notice of me?
The best thing to do, like the very best, and this is what we put at our booth at the job fair, is whip out your GitHub. Like, just show me what you've done.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm also not going to judge you on, like, we don't care if you came from your mom's house or anywhere. Like, nothing about, all we speak is code.
Yeah.
So, like,
what
I don't
can you
care,
actually do, not necessarily where you've been. Yeah.
I don't care, like, who you are, like,
where you've
race,
been, what
age,
you've
gender,
done,
whatever. Like, anonymously send me the GitHub
Yeah.
if you're scared about any of that. Because, like, the thing that's going to speak the most is, like, the code.
Yeah.
Like, if you want, like, that interview. And our interview process is, like, meet for coffee, make sure we like each other, simple coding question, and then, like, that one day actually make a thing. So, like, this triple thing. And, like, you're going to learn if you like us and stuff like that. But, like, really the best way in is just show us some projects.
Are you concerned about my marks at all? Or you just want to see my projects?
I have not looked at a transcript. Like,
since yours.
No, not even mine. I never even looked at I graduated part-time after the dropping out to do group notes, but I didn't even, like, and that's the thing is, like, I just know, like, I would definitely hire people who spent more of their time coding their own projects outside of school than who, like, did really well in school.
Sure.
Because, like, I don't know. You need somebody who likes programming and not did it because they had to.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Absolutely.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question for you quickly is what is the first purchase you're going to make once Google buys your company out and showers you guys with money? Once
I'm showered with money, probably fix the shelf in my bathroom. So I haven't done that yet. Maybe I'll pay someone to fix the shelf in my bathroom.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're going to continue to think about this. You're going to want to call us. You're going to be like, I'm going to buy somebody to pay somebody to fix the shelf, to buy the house. To
take the dents out of my car, and I'm going to get my cat a cat tree.
Oh, perfect.
Sylvester
nice.
needs a cat tree.
That'll be
he
awesome.
likes being up high. I have like a makeshift one built out of my own stools right now, but I can't sit.
Right.
So he'd get a proper cat tree.
Cat tree.
What's
That's
his
awesome.
name? Shout out to the cat.
Sylvester. He's on Twitter at @SlyStartupCat.
Awesome.
That's very punny. Sylvester
we'll
is on
have
Tweety.
to give a link to his Twitter
That's good
account
stuff.
when we post this. The bonus question, toilet paper, fold or scrunch?
Oh, fold. What?
Now, don't even need to think about
Oh,
it.
he said he didn't hear the question. He said what?
No, he heard it.
No,
Fold.
what?
Are you a folder?
Scrunch?
Yeah.
When you pull it off the thing.
Until this popped up on Reddit, I didn't even know the other option was an option.
Yeah, Darren didn't either. He was
I
shocked.
didn't either.
Yeah.
But listen, this room is booked for about
More
4
TD?
minutes from now, so
Oh,
we
geez.
gotta wrap this up quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So
thanks.
quickly, where can we find you guys online?
We're getvideostream.com if you have a Chromecast or an Android TV.
Yep.
get it. If you have a Sony TV, it might already be an Android TV.
Can we find you on Facebook or Twitter or any of those other places?
We're at Get Video Stream on Twitter. I also like followers. I'm that Matt Gardner on Twitter.
Okay.
I didn't know how Twitter worked when I got my username, and that's why it's gigantic. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Yeah.
No problem. Sounds good, and we'll post some links to those places so people can find you guys.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. That's all for today, folks. Special thanks to our guest, Matt from Videostream, for coming on our show. Thank you to Communitech for letting us record in their space. We promise we'll be leaving it very soon. There are people eyeballing us through the doorway here. And thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us on another episode of TSP Weekly. Please feel free to send us your comments, questions, criticisms, and feedback. Our email address is feedback@tspweekly.com, or you can send us a message on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @TSPWeekly. So for myself, Darren Conley, my co-host Stephen Campbell, and our guest Matt Gardner from Videostream, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you all next week.